Hello, welcome to a very festive version of the Hotline Live with Record Sport. I am delighted.
Merry Christmas.
By the one and only Keith Jackson. Merry Christmas to you, Keith.
Thank you. And to you, Scott, I hope.
Scott, how's it going?
I'm good, mate. You all right?
Very good, thanks. I don't like everyone that comes on the Hotline Live is great, but the fans have wanted the dream team back together for a while now. So what a great late Christmas present.
A festive edition.
Aye, exactly. Good Christmas for both of you, though. Good.
Brilliant. Loved it. Yep. Great. Like everybody else, ate too much, drank too much, didn't get enough sleep. But yeah, a very enjoyable little break until I went back to work yesterday and went straight back into it. Went to the Edinburgh Derby. And that was a dramatic set of circumstances around that game. So it's right back straight into it now, Dan. And where it all leaves this title race now that we've reached the halfway point.
It works out quite nicely because you were at the Edinburgh Derby. I know Scott was at Ibrox for the Rangers Motherwell game, and I was working on Livingston Celtic. So I think we've got all bases covered.
Bases covered, yep.
Maybe we should start with this overreaching question. Do we have a three-way title race? What do you reckon?
Well, certainly now that, and it's taken its time, isn't it, to get to this point where we're halfway through the season, and finally what you've got is the top three. I'll tell you what I think. Scotty might disagree, but I look at Rangers. I don't think they're anywhere near strong enough to be considered genuine contenders. Now, the caveat being, in January, what does Danny Rowe do? What does Andrew Kavanagh? Does he really roll the dice here? Rangers will only be, I think, genuinely in this race if they sign 3 or 4 guys who are starters, and that includes a striker, because they don't look like a team that can, they really struggle for goals. So if he gets all that and he really bulks up on quality, I don't mean squad players either, then Rangers could yet contend this one. Celtic, it looks as if it's starting to fit into place, certainly the final third for Wilfred Nancy. There's going to be a lot of shots in goal. There's going to be, a high attacking intensity to what they do. That's clear already. He's got 2 wins under his belt. But for me, it's the opposite problem. They don't have a defence to win a championship. And I think his style of play, that's not going to change. So for me, if you needn't to score 3 and 4 goals on the road just to win games of football, I think you've got to struggle to win the title. Yeah. I'm not saying that Hearts are the out-and-out favourites at this point. And they suffered a real setback at Easter Road, and the neighbours loved it. But it was just more of an off day. They'd so many of their top players not performing at their best levels. They were 3 goals down, and in a pretty even contest. So Hearts weren't great. Hibs weren't terrific in the first half. It was everything you expect from an Edinburgh Derby in terms of the hurly-burly. But there certainly wasn't 3 goals in it. But what you have to say is Hibs took their goals and fashioned their goals absolutely superbly well. But you saw Hearts looking about going, how did this happen? And I thought that once Shankland scores, I think 75 minutes on the clock, all of a sudden Hearts turned up. It was only at that point in the game. It wasn't even, the third Hibs goal coming to start the second half about 3 minutes in. And Hearts didn't even really contest the game up until Shankland gets the breakthrough. And then they were battering Hibs. And probably quite unlucky not to come away with something. But what I noticed in the interviews afterwards with Derek McInnes and Lon Shankland, they were furious with themselves. They were furious, seething. And I think that's really interesting, because I think that sends out a message. There was no shrugging of the shoulders or saying, a hard luck story, or, well, there's always another game, a few days' time. They were genuinely raging. And I think that's a really good sign, because it tells me a lot about their mentality going into the second half of the season. So, answer to your question, Rangers will really need to do well in the transfer window to have a chance. defence is going to cause them problems. And I think Hearts will stay in the race. They're going to stay in this fight. I don't think that they're just going to disappear like snow off a dike in the second half of the campaign.
What do you think, Scott? You were at Ibrox. Do you think Rangers have got it in them?
I think what's certain for me is, Daniel, and I think even the weekend proved it, is all three of these teams will drop more points between now and the end of the season.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, in essence, that, I suppose, does give you a title race. I agree with Jacko and Rangers. Up until this point, they've not looked like a title, certainly not a title winning team, no, or even a title challenging team. However, they do need a good January window. And you listen to Danny Rowe post-match on Saturday, his comments were really interesting, talking about his meeting with Andrew Kavanagh on Saturday morning, looking ahead to the January window, talking about being brave and bold in the transfer window. If there's something there that they think is worth it, they have to go all in. If they really believe in it, if they believe that there's a title challenge, if they believe a title challenge is doable, then they need to go for it. So clearly the manager thinks there's something left in this season for them to go for. But if you look at the games at the weekend, Hearts obviously go and lose the derby. I had a wee feeling for Hibs at the weekend, just because I thought Hearts, I still don't think, listen, they've been brilliant, I'm not taking anything away from them, I still don't think they're quite at the level where they just churn out wins, every game or every big game. I thought it'd be tough for them at Easter Road, and it was. Celtic obviously win the game, but as Jacko pointed out, the defensive deficiencies are there for everyone to see, so they're going to lose goals if they keep going like that. And Rangers, again, as much as they get the victory, it was tight. For half an hour in the first half, Motherwell were the better team. Rangers needed Jack Butland to pull off 4 saves, one in particular kept them in the game at 0-0, and moments later Rangers get the goal to win it. So, look, in short, I don't think any of these three teams are going to run away with it. So, assuming Rangers do sign 3 or 4 in the window, which I think they will, Celtic will also strengthen. They clearly need a striker as a priority. And Hearts, obviously with the Jamestown influence, will go and sign some players. There's already a right back coming in. Chesnikov, the winger, looks as if he'll come in. So they will get better. So they'll get better as well. So I think they probably do have a 3-way title race, which is really exciting, obviously, for us reporting on it, because it feels like we've not had something like this in a long time. So
you think Rangers are in it right now then?
I think so. I think if Rangers win on Tuesday night, the game in hand against St Mirren, but what does that leave them? 6 points behind both Celtic and Hearts. So, assuming Celtic win in midweek, which is a tough game for Celtic away to Motherwell. Mm-hmm. Having obviously watched Motherwell at the weekend, Motherwell fancied their chances at home against anyone. But I just think with the points gap now, you have to say Rangers are still in it. Can I see them winning it? Probably not, unless there are real significant improvements in January. But the interesting thing to come out of the weekend, and it just sums up this mad season, Rangers have now got the best defensive record in the Scottish Premiership. I mean, that is just staggering to me. When you think
that's wild. I didn't even know that.
They've got the best defensive record in the league. Danny Rowe's now got 6 clean sheets. So you need to say has made a difference. He's tightened them up. And by the way, he's done that at a time when his defence has been changing every week due to injuries. He's had to bring Fernandez in. Giga's been in and out. Sterling's now come in. Suter's been out, and then he came back at the weekend. The fullbacks have changed. So he's certainly tightened them up, more organised, more structured, more difficult to score against. So he's kind of fixed that problem, which was clear at the start of the season. He's now got to fix the other side, which is scoring goals. And that's why I think I wrote a piece for the paper tomorrow, just on the back of the game on Saturday. They've got 3 strikers there that are worth, or they were signed for around 17 million, I think, the 3 of them. And Danilo, Majovski and Shamiti. None of them are really proving that they're going to be the first choice and they're going to get the goals to take you to a title, or at least challenge for a title. That's why I think a striker, like Celtic, has to be one of the priorities for Rangers in January.
Shamiti started yesterday, Scott?
He did.
And?
Listen, it wasn't great. It wasn't his worst game. I mean, his hold-up play was decent at times, but he just never looks like scoring. Jacko just never looks like scoring. And the couple of kind of half chances that he kind of made a mess of in the first half, in the second half, he's unlucky with a wee kind of back heel flick in the second half at Mikey Moore. Should have scored the rebound, I think. But nah, it just doesn't look up to it. I mean, Majowski's obviously been the one, and he's the wee injury, obviously, I think, recently. I expect Majowski to probably come back in on Tuesday night as Danny Rowe kind of switches the strikers. But as I say, none of them look like being the guy to go and lead a title charge. Now, with 3 strikers there on good money, it might mean trying to get a Danilo, for instance, out in January, to kind of ease that a wee bit, whether he can get on loan or whether he can get somebody to come in and buy him. Because Danny Rowe said after the game on Saturday, in terms of players going out, guys that are not getting minutes, I think he basically said it's pointless them being here. If they feel as if they're not getting minutes, then there's no point continuing with them. So they need to look elsewhere. Danilo might come into that category, and that might free up a space to get another striker in.
Who else comes into that category, Scott? Rothwell, definitely. Definitely. I mean, he's been posted missing now for a while. Look, the guys, even Kieran Dowell has been back on the bench the last couple of weeks. I know he's running towards the end of his contract, but if they could try and maybe get him out and loan for the last part. I think there's a story this morning about Lyle Cameron and Finlay Curtis maybe going in loan as well. Which might be a shame, because you feel as if whenever they have played, and it's been very limited this season, but they do offer something, a bit of energy, something a wee bit different that Rangers lack at times. But it depends who they bring in and how many they bring in January. I think Danny Rose knows exactly what he needs and what he wants. It's just whether the Rangers board and the owners can deliver it.
We've got plenty of comments coming in already. If you're watching at home, you want to get involved in the conversation, please do so. Put down the turkey, let us know what you think. Rangers, is he okay? Says the job Raw has done so far, this squad has been very good. The style of play will come when he can buy his own players, but considering when Martin was in, we couldn't keep Waynes out of a close. A lot of people asking us now to talk about the Motherwell penalty. Joseph says, why not speak about the penalty Motherwell did not get? The world saw it. And David says Motherwell should have had a pen. A couple other people saying that. What did you? I mean, you were at the game, Scott. Did you get a good look at it at the time? This is Fernandes in the last minute, I think.
Not really. I mean, we're obviously a long way away from it. I mean, I did think live.
All right, Arsene Wenger.
Live, it looked as if Fernandes had take that risk, because you could see he stuck the leg out. This is the annoying thing with these incidents. So I don't know what Jacko thinks, but when you're at a game like that, you automatically think, "Oh, that could have been a penalty." So ordinarily, when you're writing about the game live, you would mention that as a contentious incident. But see with VAR, because VAR dismissed it so quickly, you just go and say, "Well, it couldn't have been a penalty." No, you're trusting probably wrongly, but you're trusting the officials, because they're looking at every angle over and over. We're literally seeing it once. You're trusting the officials and saying, well, if they've looked at it and they've dismissed it so quickly, then it's clearly not a penalty. So I mean, it barely gets a mention.
And Scott, the ref was right there. He was
exactly,
right on top of it.
Exactly, and he seemed adamant. No, and then after the game, obviously that you're not thinking much of it, and then the Motherwell manager comes in and says he's going to take that decision to his grave. You're like, as one of the reporters in the press room said, I was killing myself laughing. I'll not say who it was. He said, the Motherwell manager walked out, and the guy said, "God, he's taking that decision to his grave." He says, "I've not even put out my match report." So listen, it was obviously a big decision. I've watched it a million times. I don't know what you think. I think Fernandes gets a slight touch in the ball, and I have to say, he's obviously taking a gamble dangling the leg, but I think Fadinger goes down too easy. I think he's looking for contact. He might even initiate it himself. Of course, there is a bit of contact, clearly, but I think that's been the ref's view. I think the way he's gone down, Fadinger probably hasn't helped himself. And I think that's slight, and it's the slightest of touches for Fernandes. I mean, he's lucky that he got, it looks as if he got that slight touch. I think that's what's probably saved him.
I mean, I don't know about you, Keith. I kind of agree that I think Fadiger was looking to...
Fadiger's trying to buy it.
He's trying to get contact. But then again, I will say...
But he gets contact, which is what makes it interesting. Now, does he dangle his leg a little bit, trying to initiate it, trying to make contact? Probably. And I think that's probably why the officials didn't give it. I don't know about the contact with the ball, Scott. I've probably not seen it enough. What I would say is I think Fernandes is lucky because he's suckered into sticking his leg out. Even in the still that we've got there, that if you were just going in that still, I think you give the penalty kick. But yeah. I just felt that there you see Fadinger. I think Fadinger's putting his leg into Fernandes. I think he's done well to get Fernandes out of position there. But I think he's looking for the penalty, and I think they probably just about got the right decision with that one.
I do agree with you, Scott, in the sense that he's taking a big risk, Fernandes. It could have easily been given. It's
clumsy. That's what you say. It's clumsy. It's a bit careless from him.
And it's probably a bit like, I think it can be a bit like that, Fernandes. He takes some risks. He's still relatively inexperienced, and at that stage in the game, with the result as it was, he takes a big gamble there, dangling that leg as Fadinger goes past him. As I say, I think he's fortunate. He gets the slightest of nicks on it. And as I say, that I do think Fadinger, which it's crazy for the Motherwell player's point, if that's true, because he's actually got a chance to get into the box and get a strike.
I thought that if he's just stronger there, he's going to get away. He's going to make room to get a shot at goal. So that counts against my argument that I do think that he's looking for it. I do think he tried to initiate it. But the next question in your head is, well, why? Because in that position there, he's getting in behind him. He's going to get a shot away on goal. So but for whatever reason, whatever was going through his head, it looked to me as if he was trying to make that contact. He left his leg there to make sure that there was contact. It'll
be interesting to see what Willie Collum says on the VAR show, and even the KMI panel, which is made up of the ex-pros and refs and stuff like that, because it is contentious.
There's certainly a debate to be had there, that's for sure.
Definitely. People will think it's a penalty.
Our resident referee, Des Roach, on Twitter, I believe, has come out saying he thought it was a penalty on his ref's view account. So,
that's convinced me that I was right then. It's no penalty.
So there you go. Yeah. It's definitely mixed in the comments, and if you're watching at home, let us know what you think of it. The other thing that I wanted to get your take on, Scott, from Ibrox yesterday, I didn't think I'd be asking this at the end of 2025, but Derek Johnson's halftime team talk. It was trending nationwide on Twitter. I've seen a clip of it. It just seemed a bit out of left field, a bit bizarre.
I think the Rangers players must have heard it in the changing room, because they certainly upped their game in the second half, upped the performance. People are obviously having a laugh about it, but you have to say the actual essence of what he was saying was probably right. I mean, he was effectively saying what I've been saying a lot this season. And it was the same in the first half hour on Saturday in terms of the real desire and hunger for the Rangers players. It wasn't there in the first half hour. Again, Motherwell looked as if they'd kind of more appetite for the game. As I say, if it wasn't for Jack Butland, Motherwell could have been a couple of goals up. Rangers did come into it towards the end of the half, but I think Big Derek was I think his exact words were something like, when I played for this club, you had to give, you play for this club, you need to give everything, and I'm not seeing that just now. And obviously the punters kind of related to that and loved it. So maybe the players heard them, because I say there was certainly more effort, more endeavour, more desire to go and win the game in the second half than there was in the first.
What does that say about this Rangers team if that's the case, Scott? If they get fired up because Derek Johnson had the microphone at the side of the pitch? I mean, honestly, and you're trying to tell me they're title contenders?
Get them in on Tuesday.
I was being facetious when I said they might have heard it. I'm sure it was far more to do with what Danny Roll told them at half time. Get the point.
we've got plenty of people writing in about Celtic, guys. We should maybe talk about that game as well. This one from Davy Hoop says, Paul is going to be, we're going to score one more than you. The amount of chances we create, if we sign a decent striker, convert, I think we'll score 4 or 5 regularly. I obviously watched the game yesterday. I was working on it for Record Sport. Look, brilliant going forward, Celtic. It feels like they are going to score every time they go forward. And Celtic fans, let me know what you think of this. I think a really good team will annihilate Celtic. I mean, Livingston couldn't score for love nor money going into this game. They haven't won in 16 league games, Livingston, and they'd scored twice in the opening 8 minutes.
It's a worry, Daniel, for me, for this whole project, this whole Wilfred Nancy sort of idea. This is clearly what he wants. It's one of the comments there's spot on. The philosophy is, well, it doesn't matter if you lose 4 goals as long as we score 6. I don't think that's sustainable. And I think the better managers in this league, the teams that are really tactically clued up and switched on, they'll work this out. And we've seen it being worked out, by St Mirren and by Hearts. And, I'm very pleased actually on a personal level for Wilfred Nancy that he's got the 2 wins, because it was becoming really difficult to watch, the whole kind of drama around him. So I'm pleased for him. But on the long-term question of sustainability of this strategy, I really need to be convinced, because my fear is that when Celtic come up against a team with really good players in it, that are really well organised, that they could be exposed big time.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, I mean, I'll stick by it. I do think a decent team would take 4 or 5 off Celtic quite easily at the minute. And you've got players, and again, no harm to him. I'm not singling him out, but players like Anthony Ralston really having a poor game, but he's getting played out of position. They don't have the players to play this shit. Celtic just don't.
And that's going to be the interesting thing as well, because even I totally accept that it's square pegs, round holes for the time being, but it doesn't need to be, and yet it is. But that means that the system comes first. It's prioritised before all else, which kind of gives you an idea into Nancy's psyche here. But I maintain that I'm not sure you could. Listen, I don't know what Celtic have got to spend in the transfer window in January. He could buy 3 Paolo Maldinis in his prime, and that defence will still struggle because of how much it's exposed. I don't know. Do you know what I mean by that? How do you go and find? We'll just buy a player to play that position.
Right.
Because it's so open. It's so open that it's almost impossible to make it watertight at the back.
You might be right with that. No, it's obviously to do with the system and stuff. All I would say is, surely, and I know it's ifs, buts and maybes, and I don't know exactly when they're back, but I think surely if you added Alistair Johnson and Cameron Carter-Vickers to that back 3, it makes a massive difference.
Well, I agree, but so you're playing Alistair Johnson in the right centre-half position?
At the moment, I'd have Alistair Johnson, Carter-Vickers and Trusty as your back 3, and I would have Tierney at left wing back. That's just what I thought in terms of the players that they've got there at the moment. He's obviously going to sign players which you'd imagine will be signed specifically to suit that system in various positions. As I say, I think Carter-Vickers is still some way off for coming back. I'm not sure about Johnson, but I just think
Carter-Vickers won't kick a ball this season, Scott. It doesn't look like.
Right. And Johnson's March as well.
Aye, so listen, the long-term injuries, but I just think, so they will need to sign players, but I just think if you had 2 players of that quality to be in to get into that back 3, or if you want to play Johnson at wing back, for instance, in another set, I just think they would add so much to it. But you're right, I mean, I only seen the highlights at the weekend with the defending for the 2 Livingston goals is woeful, really poor. So you'd imagine better teams will expose that even more. The thing I was going to ask Daniel just about Celtic, and I say I'm not seeing them that much live now, but what do you think Nygren, because everything I seem to read for Celtic fans is criticising Nygren, and I'm looking at him from the outside thinking, what a signing this guy's been for the money they've paid. What's that? 12 goals for? Is that 12 goals for midfield?
He's got 11 now in all competitions. And I agree with you. He's a really weird player because that's a brilliant return for whatever it was, 1.8 million. And I think he is one player that in this Nancy system, the sort of 2 number 10s off the striker, I think he fits in really well. And you saw that yesterday. He's got a great habit of popping up into the box and getting on the end of things.
As well as scoring 11 goals, in the games I've seen, he's missed a lot of chances as well.
Aye.
He must be getting on the end of things so many times, which I think for a midfielder in the modern game, I mean, it's pretty rare to get somebody like that. I mean, look, I'm looking at Rangers, obviously I see a lot more of them, and I'm looking at your Barons and Raskins and Diamondis and all that. I mean, they don't get anywhere near the chances or get into the positions that Nygren gets into. I'm just intrigued because I say the Celtic fans only seem to be having him, which for a goal-scoring midfielder in his first year at the club, for the money they've paid for him, I think's a bit bizarre. I'm not really sure what the gripe is with Nygren.
No, I think he's a tendency to go missing in matches.
I was going to say that there's definitely games where he does go missing. I mean, the Roma game was a bad one where he was so poor, it was unbelievable. But I would probably be more inclined to agree with you, Scott. I think it's been an amazing return so far. He's only 24. I think he's been a really good signing, but if Celtic fans are watching, they can let us know their thoughts.
I think as well, Dan, as Scott said, that he does miss a lot of chances. Now, I'm okay with that, by the way. If as Scott says, if you're a midfield player, and if you're getting yourself into these positions to get the chances as often as he does, then that's a big tick in the box whether or not you're scoring. But he's taken his fair share, and some of his finishing's been exceptional. But I think he's an easy guy to watch and think that you've got more to offer than you're actually given. And I think in some of the bigger games, he's almost been an empty jersey for Celtic.
Yeah.
But in this system, when it's just all based out all-out attack, really, isn't it? In that system, he can make the runs into spaces. He's got great timing to be in the right place at the right time and arriving in the penalty box onto chances. So the more that Celtic are creating and they are throwing, mud at the wall here in the kind of Nancy philosophy, it's just fly forward. So in that system, I think he could get a fair bit of joy. A difficult guy to pin down if you're playing against that as a centre midfield player, because he's just running off your shoulder all the time.
Aye, definitely. Before we move on from yesterday's games, guys, I know we've talked about a 3-way title race, but who would you guys make as favourites as we sit here right now? And I get January's just round the corner. That will change a lot. But as we sit here right now, who's favourites?
Scott?
I think Celtic are favourites, Daniel. People might disagree with that. Obviously, Nancy's just in the door. The system is still in the kind of bedding in process. Obviously, there are clear deficiencies, as we've touched on defensively. But I just think with the experience they've got in that dressing room, your Schmeichels, your Callum McGregors, your James Forrest, even the guys that are injured that we're talking about, your Alistair Johnson, Carter Vickers, people have been over the course, Kieran Tierney. I just think if they can hone it and they can get a couple of players in January, especially a striker, because that's where they're seriously lacking. They get Maida back, kind of back in the left. Then I still make Celtic favourites. No, I wouldn't say that heavy odds on favourites because of the reasons that we've spoken about, but I just think in general Celtic would need to be favourites, just because they've been a lot of these players have been over the course before.
What do you think, Keith?
Well, I've been switching horses, haven't I? Because everything that Scott said there, I completely agree with, which is why I've been saying all the time Celtic are still the favourites here. I then switched back to Hearts last weekend, and now I might switch back to Celtic
next week with Motherwell.
But it's one of them. I mean, this is impossible now to predict. Everything Scott said is completely logical argument for why Celtic should be considered the favourites, because these guys have been there, seen it, done it. They've got 13 out of the last 14 T-shirts, haven't they? So for that reason, you would strongly think, actually, Celtic will find a way. But I have to come back to the sort of style of football that Wilfred Nancy wants to introduce and seems hell-bent on bringing in. And I just think it leaves them, these are good players and they're trustworthy and they've gone the course and distance. But if the back door's blown open every time they walk out on a football pitch, I think it makes it hard. I think it's a big ask. So for that reason, and for the fact that, what I said about the Hearts' performance at the weekend, they were just nowhere near themselves. But they will be, they'll come back. I was looking, I just thought all over the pitch, the guys that they've been able to depend on, especially in advanced areas, Claudio Braga, for example, everyone was bouncing off him. He just had one of those games where he just got absolutely nothing right. And it kind of culminated, there was an overhead kick in the first half. And probably on his day, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times out of 10, he connects with it properly, it flies into the top corner. It just sliced off his boot, came off his toe, and it summed it up. I think his performance, he just had a bad day at the office. But I think there was 4 or 5 Hearts players you could probably say the same about. So that for me tells me that was more of a blip than the start of a pattern. I think Hearts will come back and come back strong. I'm going to stick with Hearts for the time being, but I think once we see. We're talking about Wilfred Nancy's system. I want to see what players does he identify? What's the profile of the players that he wants to bring in and to fill the defensive positions? Is he going to go with fullbacks, playing to the right and left of one centre half? Because if that's the plan, I don't see how it's sustainable throughout the course of the rest of this season to be thinking it's okay to go into games in the Scottish Premier League with one centre half. So maybe it's not. Maybe it is. It's hybrids that he's looking for. Maybe it's centre halves. But until we see it and we see what it looks like, Celtic are vulnerable. And if it doesn't change over the January window, I think it's going to be really difficult for them to get themselves over the line.
It's another huge week, Daniel. I know it feels as if I keep saying that every week, but if you think of this week, Tuesday, as I say, Rangers won't get it easy against St Mirren. They've been really difficult to deal with at Ibrox recently. Celtic going to Motherwell, I think it's going to be really tough for Celtic. When Jack was talking about being exposed.
Tough game for them.
Motherwell will seriously fancy that. And look, Motherwell...
But they don't score goals, Scott, so it's actually not the worst picture for Celtic.
I know. Look, they do lack a kind of killer instinct. Motherwell, there's no getting away for that. However, they did...
If there's one team that you're going to score against, it's Celtic right now.
That's it. And also, Celtic's keeper, whether it's Schmeichel, who obviously missed out the weekend, or Sinisal, are they going to have the kind of game that Jack Butland had at Ibrox at the weekend? Maybe not. Motherwell created 3 or 4 really gilt-edged chances in that game. So Celtic will find it difficult, I think, at Fir Park. Rangers will get a tough game, but if they can win it and Celtic but to drop something, that gets them closer. And then, of course, at the weekend, I think Hearts will get Livingston, which you'd expect them to go and win. And the Old Firm are going to cut each other up in some shape or form in the Old Firm game. So I think come next weekend, we'll probably have an even clearer picture of who we think.
It's clear as mud right now, we man. We spent half an hour talking about it, we still can't reach a conclusion.
But it's, again, just a big week. But that's what you want. And hopefully we're discussing it like this for the next couple of months, because it's, as I say, this is what we've lacked for too many years now.
One very last quick visit to the comments before we wrap up. There's a lot of Celtic fans who are confident, but some who aren't. AGSC Tech says, whoever's top in Hogmanay is favourite. Hearts are favourites. So many uncertainties with returning players, and maybe we sign more flops. Hearts are very stable. Thomas echoes that, says, I have no confidence in this board to get the players in that we need in January. And the Green Machine says, Celtic don't have a manager that is a winner. That is the difference. And I would just throw in at the end, I don't know what you thought, Keith, being at the game, but if I was a Hearts fan, I'd be heartened by the fact that for big spells yesterday, they were as bad as they've been all season, and yet they probably should have still got a point. Do you know what I mean?
By the way, it would have felt a little bit like a robbery, a heist, wouldn't it, if they'd get out of town with anything, having gone 3 goals down. But in that last 15 minutes, yep, they were running over the top of Hibs, causing them all sorts of problems. Obviously, Derek McInnes at that point is going for broke, throwing bodies onto the bench. But, you look at Beningame coming back for injury, massive player. And I think Cammy Devlin, his game went up a level in the second half. One, because he's a good wee player, my player of the season so far, but also I think he enjoys having Beningame in there next to him. That's a really solid centre midfield. So Hearts will be hoping that these two stay fit. You then look at Craig Halkett, who was outstanding yesterday. Even though Hearts lost 3 goals, he gets his head on everything. He was terrific. And by the way, might have to come into contention for Scotland's World Cup squad. He's having such a good season. Stuart Finley's been terrific. So there's your centre half. So always go down the spine of the team. They've got a good keeper. They've got a right good central defensive pairing with Cammy Devlin and Beningame in the middle of the pitch. They're strong. And then they've got Claudio Braga and Lawrence Shankland. And see anything else around the edges of that, they will try and improve it in January. But that's not a bad spine. And, that's more than anything else what makes me think that Hearts will, if not win the title, they won't fade away here. They're going the distance. This is real.
See what you've said there, Jacko, and I agree with everything you've said, but that is huge testament to Derek McInnes then, because every player you've mentioned
was there already.
Apart from Braga, they were already there. I mean, that spine of the team, I know Halkett's had these injury problems, but Halkett and Finlay, Finlay obviously came in, was a McInnes signing. But Halkett and Finlay, Beningame and Devlin, Shankland, a lot of these guys were already there. So I think it's testament to the job McInnes has done to get what he's getting out of him. And just on Hearts, I think Derek McInnes will be desperate to get to the window to try and sort out that right-hand side, because it's been the one area of the team that Hearts have struggled with this season. They've not
Hibs identified it yesterday and got their 2 goals from it as well.
All the problems Hearts got at the weekend were down that side. Steinvender and McEntee just didn't do enough. They're no natural right backs. On the right flank, he's went with different players. Kizaridis is better on the left. I think he's proved that this season. He'll be desperate to get him back out to the left. Obviously, it looks as if the Dutch right back's going to come in. We'll talk about Chesnikov maybe as the right winger. So that would Derek McInnes will kind of remedy that situation. I don't doubt there might be 1 or 2 more coming in, but I think that will be key in terms of Hearts improving. As I say, they'll need 1 or 2 more additions, but they've got to fix that right-hand side, because it has been it's been a brilliant season for them so far, but that has probably been their one weakness, and the manager will know that. And as Jacko says, Hibs exploited that at the weekend, and if they don't sort it out, it will get exploited again.
I think one thing's for certain. Well, not certain, but I don't think Hearts are going anywhere. I don't think so. I think Hearts will be there or thereabouts at the end of the season.
Listen, they've been the best side in the country for the first half of the season. That's why they're sitting where they are, Dan. And they've got an experienced manager, and they've got their analytics and an investor in Tony Bloom, who will, I think, be prepared to throw the kitchen sink at it for the second half of this season. So for all those reasons and more, listen, if anybody thinks Hearts are just going to melt away into the background here, they're kidding themselves on.
I agree. I think for now, though, guys, that brings us to the end of Sunday nights. Sunday, it's Sunday, innit? I've completely lost track of it.
Something day.
Nice. It's definitely a day. Thank you very much for watching at home. The comments have been brilliant. We appreciate you coming on during the festive period. It's been great. Scott, Keith, it's always a pleasure.
Cheers.
Daniel, thank you.
Cheers to everyone back home.
Absolutely. Keith, I'm not actually sure when we're back on, are we? I think we might not be back on until the Old Firm game.
There's programming and scheduling issues, isn't there? Which might mean that we don't appear again until this time in 1 week, when we'll know the outcome of some big games over the next few days.
Right. We should probably take this opportunity then to wish everyone a very happy new year. And here's to many more good shows in 2026.
Yep, happy new year, folks.
Happy New Year. Cheers, Daniel.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much for watching at home, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.